If there's one lesson the crypto world will never forget, it's this: when trust goes, everything collapses, not because technology failed, but because the people running it abused the very money customers trusted them with. This is the story of how FTX, once the third largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, used billions of dollars in customer deposits in ways nobody expected, and why it mattered. The rise of a crypto giant, FTX launched in 2019 and skyrocketed to fame. It became a symbol of modern crypto success: sleek apps, big-name celebrity endorsements, even naming rights to arenas. Sam Bankman-Fried, the young founder, was hailed as a visionary. He was praised in mainstream media. He donated millions to political causes. He looked like the face of a new financial future. But behind the hype was something fundamentally flawed: the core problem: commingling customer funds. Here's where the story turns from growth tale to corporate fraud nightmare. When customers deposited money into FTX, they expected it to be held securely, untouched, until they decided to withdraw it, but that's not what happened. Instead, FTX allowed a closely related hedge fund, Alameda Research, to borrow and use customer deposits for its own trades. Customers' money wasn't segregated. It was pooled with Alameda's capital, and that was the biggest red flag of all. How they hid it: FTX's own terms of service said customer assets weren't supposed to be used by the company, but the internal systems and accounting allowed executives to mix those assets with Alameda's trading funds anyway. This created a huge problem. Instead of being a safe holding place for users' crypto, FTX turned into a fractional reserve style operation where customer funds were lent out, traded, and risked without their knowledge or consent. That's not decentralized finance. That's a classic bank run waiting to happen. The run on the bank: everything looked fine, until it wasn't. In late 2022, a financial report leaked showing Alameda's balance sheet was nearly entirely made up of FTX's own token, called FTT rather than real assets. That undermined confidence instantly. A rival exchange, Binance, publicly announced it might dump its FTT holdings. The token's value immediately plummeted, and once the public saw that customer deposits weren't fully backed, customers began withdrawing. Billions were pulled in days. FTX didn't have enough money to pay out, because much of the money had already been spent, invested, or lost by Alameda. What the bankruptcy revealed. When FTX finally filed for bankruptcy in November 2022, the numbers were staggering. Investigators found that more than $8.7 billion in customer deposits were missing, misused, or unaccounted for. The company owed customers that amount, but simply didn't have it. Audits showed that the records were incomplete and that fund transfers were obscured and poorly documented. This wasn't poor record keeping. This was a systemic failure of corporate controls. The new bankruptcy CEO later testified that he had never seen such chaos in any corporate collapse. Even worse than Enron, Alameda, and risky bets, Alameda's trading was reckless. It used customer funds to make high-risk leveraged trades, effectively betting with other people's money. That's one of the worst formulas in finance: bet big with borrowed money. When the crypto market turned south in 2022, Alameda's positions tanked. Those losses were then retroactively covered by dipping into customer deposits, political contributions, and personal expenses. According to prosecutors, Bankman Fried and his co-conspirators didn't just use the money for trading. They funneled customer funds into political contributions, personal lifestyle costs, and other ventures, all hidden through corporate structures and accounting obfuscation. This is why regulators described it not just as mismanagement, but as fraud and embezzlement, the legal fallout. In 2023, Sam Bankman-Fried was convicted on multiple charges, including fraud and conspiracy, for stealing billions of dollars from his own customers. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison and ordered to forfeit more than $11 billion in assets. Key Alameda executives like Carolyn Ellison and others pled guilty as well, with Ellison admitting they knowingly used customer funds to cover losses and make risky bets. Even celebrity endorsers of FTX like Shaquille O'Neal have had to pay millions to settle class action lawsuits for promoting the exchange, though they weren't involved in the fraud. Why this matters? FTX wasn't just another crypto exchange. It represented a belief in a new form of finance, open, decentralized, global. But when the people running it twisted customer trust into a slush fund for risky bets and political influence, the whole thing collapsed. Millions of users across the world were affected, some with life savings locked up, while executives were prosecuted or fled. And regulators are still studying how to prevent another FTX, because whether it's crypto or traditional banking, the lesson is the same. You cannot mix customer funds with high-risk proprietary ventures and expect trust to survive.